Finish off what
Yeah,
you were saying.
I was just finishing that. It seemed like I was not coming down, and I was stuck like that forever, and I was literally contemplating how I was going to go about my everyday life. This.
I remember that.
That was fun.
I remember that.
So yeah, you can move on to your next one.
Matter of fact, the next one I have coincides with this perfectly because it was the same experience. Basically, he convinced me the same thing. He convinced me that, I remember it. The way I remember it is he took a few hits. We had actually just came down from a really fucking intense experience that I think I actually mentioned earlier, and we decided to do it again. And he took a few hits, and I go to take mine, and he says, "Careful, because there was a lot more in it than we expected there to be after having smoked out of it already." And I take like 2 big hits, and all of a sudden he says to me, Did we do the permafrost thing?"
Yeah.
And right when he said that, it was as if instead of it being just like a normal trip, I'm tripping right now. It was as if all of a sudden now I'm sober, and this is regular reality.
Yep.
And I look around. I remember I scanned the room, and everything was like fucked looking. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like that too. And I said to him, I was like, no, dude, we just took more, keep it cool.
Yeah.
And I laid down on the ground and tried to just give into it, because I was kind of freaking out a little bit. I was like, what the, I thought I was in a weird scenario too.
Yeah.
And I laid down, and Keegan was like, yeah, I think I'm going to lay down too. Right when he laid down, I was losing track of what it was that I was so scared about. I was starting to forget why I was so freaked out. And I started coming to my senses. I'm going, holy shit, now that was a weird fucking trip.
Yep.
And I'm telling him that, and he's in the same scenario, like, dude, what the fuck? That was a weird...
It just felt like it was lasting so long, and that we weren't coming down.
That was a very weird trip.
It probably was a typical, 5-10 minute
Right. It
trip.
was. Right.
But in our perspective, it seemed like it was like we were going on 20 to 30 minutes now, and I'm still looking around the room, gone.
Yeah. That was the weird part, is I felt sober, but my vision was fucked.
Right.
My vision was... I was hallucinating very hard, and I felt like I fucked my brain up. Really did feel like I fucked my brain up. You can move on to your next one.
Alright, this one was pretty funny, and then took a weird turn. He let me borrow the pipe, and I'm up here in my room alone, and I decided to shut all my lights off. I think I might have had just this one on or something. I'm laying in my bed, and I took 3 puffs, I think, and closed my eyes, and instead of seeing the typical chrysanthemum or geometric tunnel looking thing, out of the darkness comes I don't know if you guys know the Joe Rogan podcast emblem, but it looked like Joe Rogan's face. That screaming face came out of the darkness and past me. And then it was the old cartoon Scooby-Doo, Daphne.
Daphne's her name, yeah.
Yes, that's who it was, Daphne. And all of a sudden, she starts coming in doing this weird dance, just in the same way that Joe Rogan comes in. She comes by me, and I'm going, oh my word, these visuals are crazy. And I open my eyes, and I take the 4th hit, and as soon as I close my eyes, it was like all the visuals just shut up, and it seemed like these 2 men in black suits holding briefcases just kind of walk out the door and shut it behind them, and then I just got nothing going on.
I remember you said you felt completely stoned though.
Oh yeah. I was still tripping body wise, like the body high that you get from DMT, but the visual performance was over, and it seemed like the lesson that I got from that, or the vibe that I was getting from that, was that I should have just chilled with the 3 hits that I had taken prior and let that visual play out.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I wanted to make it crazier by taking the 4th hit, and maybe it was because they sensed that I was unappreciative of it or something, and they were being stern. I say they, but I don't even know who I'm talking about. The initial vibe was playful, a lot of excitement, really visual trip, and it ended up being another put in your place trip, like I explained in the earlier video. Yeah, that's it for that one.
I actually had something I just wanted to say about this. What was the one you were just sharing?
The alone in my room, the briefcase.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. If you've watched my Too Much DMT video, where I talk about if there's like a DMT sweet spot, that trip was a substantial part of what prompted that theory of ours, is that you can surpass the point in which you even see what's going on.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a very weird experience.
Very interesting.
This what?
Just Joe Rogan. Like, why am I seeing Joe Rogan come into my face? You know?
It's like dreaming shit.
Yeah.
This next experience is actually the one time I tried to break through. It was very weird how it took place. And another example of this sweet spot thing. I loaded a ton of DMT into a pipe and was out in the woods alone and started taking hits. And I remember by the 3rd hit, because I had in my head, take 3 hits. That's all I need, right? 3 hits and I'm good. That's how you break through. So I was, like fighting for those 3 hits. And by the 3rd hit, it felt like everything was speeding up. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was like the intensity button was turning up really quickly. And I remember seeing my backpack looking like it was coming towards me and drifting away from me at the same time, simultaneously. It was growing and shrinking at the same time. I get the 3rd hit in. I'm like, okay, that's all I needed. Put the pipe down, lay down, shut my eyes, and I'm waiting to see this fucking tunnel, and break through into this world. But I'm not seeing anything, and I don't see. Well, I guess kind of. I see this black mass, and it was coming down towards me, and it tucked itself under me. I remember it came and tucked itself under my body, and I basically lost consciousness. I remember the Icaros faded away. I had music playing. I was no longer hearing that. And all of a sudden, I hear the wind blowing through the trees and the Icaros playing. And I'm just laying there. And I open my eyes, and I'm still, I'm having visuals, open-eyed visuals, but they're not arresting my attention. I felt completely focused on where was I just then. That was the main feeling I had during that experience. I remember this butterfly flew by, and I was seeing multiples of it flying by, tracers. Everything looked, destroyed. And I was focused on where just was I? But I don't remember anything happening in that gap, in the peak, really, of the experience. So that's it for that one. Another good example of the sweet spot thing that we've theorized about.
This was one of my more... I kind of want to mention that I feel like a lot of my visuals that I experience aren't your typical, like what you normally hear on YouTube, I guess.
Right.
I want to say they're more like how you'd recall a dream, what a dream looks like to you, or if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of my experiences seem to have some sort of scenario going on, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And with this one, it was interesting because it was like I can't remember if it was Chango or Deem, one or the other, but I closed my eyes and I get the sense that I'm passing through kind of like, I want to say, bird's eye view of these mountains, somewhat tropical, maybe somewhere like Amazonian mountain area, I don't know. And I kind of come down this hilltop, and all of a sudden I'm coming down this walkway, and there's what looks like a crowd of people in this mountain village, and this elderly woman comes forward to me and puts her hand out and pulls me into this, what I think is like a party going on, some sort of celebration. And the next thing I remember is seeing out of the darkness of my eyes shut, this woman, kind of like a belly dancer looking outfit going on, and what looked like a fire tornado spinning around, and they were doing this pirouette together that looked insane. I just got to sit back and watch it, and that was one of my more dreamlike trips.
Yes, it's been like that many times for me as well. Rather than, think I'm watching these hallucinations, you kind of get taken away into this concept or scenario going on, and you can sit there and, wow, this is a crazy trip, but you can also interact with it. You can also be the trip, and it does stuff with you, which is...
It can blow your mind
weird.
after the fact.
Yeah, okay. So this one, I was alone, crystal DMT, and when I took it, I laid down in my bed, and once again I saw what looked like those phosphine things. They were all swirling around, and they looked like swirling clouds. And I remember not seeing much more going on than that. But I kept looking at these swirlingness stuff, and every now and then it looked like it would part away, and behind it, I saw this, like, tall mountain with a kingdom on top of it, like a building of like a castle complex thing, way off in the distance. And all this stuff would, like, swirl back over it, and I couldn't see it. And it was giving me the vibe, obviously, that, I didn't do enough. And I'm just sitting here, like, not able to access that kingdom. You know what I mean? And you can imagine, if I smoked more, would I have fucking gone to the kingdom? But I don't know.
See, then you might have had the Men in Black walk out with a suitcase. And
Yeah, right.
Not seen anything.
Right.
I don't know.
That's it for that one.
That's that one?
Yeah.
Next one for me is more of a physical trip that I had. Laying in my bed, smoking it out of the pipe, and I realized that I couldn't tell how long my legs were anymore. Like, from my knee down,
Did Terrence mention that?
my legs felt like they went forever. And I went to move them, and they felt like they were cemented in the ground. Like, I couldn't move them at all. And it was not for a while that I just lifted my leg up and pulled my knee to me, and was like, oh my word, my leg's right there. And yeah, it was far out, not knowing how long your leg is.
That's funny, man. That was Crystal.
Yep, and that was the same one where because it didn't seem like it was a very visual trip, but what I recalled after the fact was I'm laying in the bed, and I realized that in my mind I left my room, went downstairs by the fireplace, through the bathroom, out the front door, and towards my garage, and all of a sudden I kind of came to real quick and realized I'm laying in my bed. And that struck me funny that I just kind of, it seemed like it didn't seem like I was walking. It wasn't like a lucid dream or anything like that. It just seemed like this,
your consciousness was moving.
Yeah, it was like the whatever it is in you that's aware was just passing through the house and went out to the garage real quick, and then my focus pulled me back to where I actually was.
I have an experience in here of something actually similar to that, of my consciousness moving. But this next one I have, I titled it Burning Man. I remember that because we had this like Burning Man mix playing for the music. And instead of doing it at the same time, we wanted to experiment with doing it once. One of us do it at a time, and then the other one do it. And I went first, and I laid down in bed. I remember taking it, hitting the pipe, and it felt like a spirit had entered the room. It felt like some sort of like, I said it felt like a ghost entered the room. It felt like something was there all of a sudden. I shut my eyes, and I remember it seemed like I was seeing everybody I knew crowded in this little room, waving at me. And that's the only visual phenomenon I remember of that experience. But I also remember I was moving my arms around like this. I was like holding my arms up, and I didn't feel myself moving. Mm-hmm. I was like,
moving your arms always felt so weird.
Didn't feel myself moving. Yep, that's it. That's it for that one.
Okay. This one's kind of short and sweet, but for me, it was pretty profound. I closed my eyes, and things... The only visual that I really noticed was all of a sudden these little shimmering dots, and I mean smaller than sand. Somehow I could see them though, all separate from each other, and it was like I was looking at the entire structure of the universe, I guess, the particles of everything. And I don't know why that hit me so hard, but the sensation of feeling like you are connected to everything that is pretty powerful.
It's pretty fucking intense. And it's a real feeling you can have on these things.
And I hadn't really... Like, in the moment, I'm just kind of realizing that I'm seeing all these particles, and... Yeah, it was definitely one of those trips that had me tearing up at the end. Because, I don't know, I guess being the entire universe is a pretty cool feeling.
Just experiencing shit
you don't
like
get
that.
to feel it that often.
What's actually going on? You know what I mean? This next one I have is kind of a weird experience I had with DMT, actually. It was me and him together out in our field with the crystal DMT, and I remember he was taking the hits first, and I got worried that he was going to take it all and I wasn't going to feel anything. So when he gives it to me, I start hitting it, and I'm thinking I'm not gonna get much because he took it all. and I got something started going on. It was as if all my vision went gray. Like everything looked gray. And I felt gray too. I felt like really sad. I felt really sad and down. And it was like the definition of dysphoria. It just made me sad. Yeah. And it made me start crying. And I'm looking at the dashboard, you know, where all the buttons for the radio is. And it's all basically acid visuals. It all looks like it's like going like this and like drifting around and stuff. It was beautiful. But I felt so sad and so just like depressed. And I remember looking off in the distance and seeing this car going by slowly, and I had fucking tracers on the lights, and it just was, everything seemed sad. It wasn't even that I was sad. Everything seemed like it was sad. If I can say that, you know what
Just
I mean?
a vibe you were getting.
Yeah, very weird experience. It was maybe the DMT, you know, teaching me a lesson for going into it like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It does seem like there's some type of lesson that you can integrate from each experience personally. Not to say that each experience is lesson bound. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it does seem like you can get something that you can use towards everyday life, I guess.
Just by paying attention.
Yeah, just by paying attention to the trip and what you perceive it as, I guess. Was that on?
Yes, that's it for that one.
This one is, I hate to say my favorite, but I think it's probably my favorite one. Most detailed, I want to say. One of the most detailed. Me and him always kind of do these shared bowls. It doesn't seem necessary to just pack one each for ourselves. Might as well just share it.
Right.
But this one, I kind of asked him, you know, can I have a big dose to myself? I want to intentionally put myself there. It was an intentional effort to try and break through on this one. Did we smoke right before that? Did we do a little hit? We shared the pipe and we're watching the anthill. What, weren't we, by your plants? And then I decided I wanted to.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
In.
Yeah, you had done it and then you wanted to do it again. Yep. Yep. I remember it.
And we go inside and he's asking me, like, you really want a lot? And he loads that thing up. And I mean, like 3 to 4 full scoops. And we go out back to where we were sitting and took a second to kind of just calm myself and surrender, I guess, to what I was about to be doing, because I hadn't purposely smoked this much before. I finally started hitting the pipe, and I think, what was it, 4 or 5 hits in, I finally handed it to you.
Yeah.
Because
I think I reminded him to hit it once.
Yes. I told him if I stop hitting it, tell me to hit it again. Right. And I was kind of following Terrence's method, where when you think you're done, just keep smoking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I took 3 or 4, and then he told me to do one more, and I did. And I remember I closed my eyes, and a truck drives by in the road we have by our house, and oh my word, did it just sound like it was the wah-wah. It fluttered off. It sounded so weird. And then, again, still had my eyes closed. It started to look like I'm going through a tunnel, typical. But then I kind of feel as if I'm laying on a bed. And again, I'm sitting in a field, crisscross applesauce. And I feel like I'm laying in a bed going up this hallway, specifically kind of up a hallway. And then we take a right turn into a room. And then they back me up into a wall, and I see what I want to say 50s style looking nurse, like, you know, the wavy kind of
Right.
black
Yep.
hair with the little cap on top, the white.
The cross.
50s style nurse. Yeah, look it up. They had these, I want to say, like, gas mask, like, kind of weird and creepy looking, but like Chernobyl type gas masks on their face, and they pulled one off of mine first and put it to the side. And I remember they were rushing all around this bed that I'm laying in, and I couldn't, you know, I didn't try to move my arms or body in this bed, but what I did notice was I could look left and right. When I looked left, I see what I want to say is a wall, but I look to the right, and there's like these little kids running around.
Yeah, I remember that.
Running in circles. I mean, ecstatic. Like, bouncing off the walls.
The machine
checking
elves.
the bed. Right. And they're checking the bed, like, excited that I'm there. But the female nurses were rushing to do something. And I look further off to the right, and I see what I want to call a elderly woman sitting in like a rocking chair, and she was cradling this little tiny baby, and she was just watching. And I know this sounds insane.
Wasn't
but,
do you remember, wasn't there like ones by her feet with no energy?
no, it was just her with the one little infant one. And so they were rushing to do something, and I got the vibe that time was of the essence. Like, it was a matter of time that they had to be doing whatever they were doing. But anyway, I got the sense that the trip's coming down, and all of a sudden it seemed like the vision of what was going on, the room that I was in, started to collapse kind of towards me. And everybody that was around the bed huddled up next to me. Like, the children got into the nurse's arms, like they were all snuggled up together, and then the vision just kind of faded away
Like
to
they
this
were all
black.
fucking ready.
They were
Huddled into the corner of the room.
I don't know. Like, they hunkered down beside me. They were all hunkered down beside me as my trip was ending. And the last visual I had, as that kind of collapsed and faded away into just blackness, my eyes shut. Off to the right in my peripheral vision was this electric blue, bluer than I have ever seen in real life. Like, no color you can find anywhere. It was so blue. It was like electricity, but falling like a waterfall.
Damn, I didn't remember that.
You know,
explaining
like,
it like that.
It was cascading down the side of my peripheral vision. It was one of those things where if you look right to look at it, it follows to your, because it's in your peripheral vision, if that makes sense.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
I open my eyes, I look at Devin, I smile, and my word,
I remember you looking at the trees, and you're like, dude, look at these fucking trees.
yeah. Oh my word. And that was the same trip that I had this thought that my dog
Oh gosh.
poops in our lawn so that it is lush when we're tripping. That it is so lush and green and vibrant and fed and fertilized that
Just so it looks beautiful.
for when we're tripping.
Yeah.
And I mean, what kind of thought that is, I don't know, but it made me laugh so hard to think that my dog is helping me with my visuals in my trip. It was hilarious.
Dude, that's so goofy.
Yeah. Nope, that was one of my more prominent, very impressive trips.
How many do you got left here?
2.
You got 2 more. Okay. So, you know what? I'm gonna skip over these
3, actually.
these 2 here. Okay, perfect, because I have 3 left as well. Not those 2. I'm gonna talk about this time the very first trip I actually ever had on DMT. I dabbed it. I heated up a banger
Still haven't done that.
and dabbed it. I haven't done it ever since either, man. And I had no clue what to expect besides what Terrence McKenna had told me. So basically, I take it, and for about the first 30 seconds, everything that Terrence said is what's happening. I lay down and I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I have to, okay. like purposely, consciously breathe. I feel like he said, the oxygen seems like it's been pumped out of the room. There's no oxygen to breathe. Also, I felt like I was pinned down and I couldn't move. And I remember it seemed like the corners of 2 skyscrapers came and sat themselves down on the tips, like on my shoulders, pinning my shoulders. And my legs were crossed, and this rod came and shot through both of my ankles. Not painfully, like this like psychic astral rod came and locked my legs together. And all of a sudden, I gave in. I was like, okay, I can't breathe. I can't move. What the fuck? Here, this is what happens. I trip balls here. I start seeing this. I'm racing down this hallway, this tiny hallway made of mossy bricks. Racing down this hallway, and I'm going all these different directions, up, down, like in seemingly directions that don't even exist. And at the ends of every hallway where I would turn, there's this screaming, grotesque face, like a Aztec vibed mask, and it was like just screaming at me. And I'm racing down this hallway, and all of a sudden, out of the right side of my vision, I see this at first it's this tiny little ball whipping, and then it comes up and it's huge next to me, and it's a fat Buddha. It's a big Buddha like one of those Buddha belly guys. One of those big fat people next to me, and it startled me. I opened my eyes, and up above me I have this tapestry that's actually looking up above trees, like treetops at night, and I swear it looked like the branches were coming down off of the ceiling, down into my room, and going like this and stuff. And yeah, I think that's really the last thing I remember from that trip. I remember I laid there for 30, 45 minutes, and I was going, am I tripping on DMT right now? And then I'd be sucked off into this thing going on. And then I'd come back going, am I tripping on DMT right now?
Yeah.
45 minutes later,
yep,
I get up, and I'm like, did I even trip? And for some weird reason, I didn't know if I had a trip or not, but all these weird images were stuck in my head. And what I just described were those weird images. So I've categorized those memories burnt into my memory as what happened the first time I did DMT. So that's it for that one. Oops.
It's good to bookmark some of those trips,
Yeah.
especially your first ones.
Seriously.
It's kind of funny that I had a hard time remembering what specifically my first trip was earlier when we were jotting all these down.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, we've had a good handful of trips in the
Yeah,
last
just
3 years now.
Yes, I think it's been 3 years. We were just sitting there remembering, and we listed each 20, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be right back. I have to pee really bad.
My next one is, this is another one of my favorites. I saved the last 3 because they were my favorites. We're up in my room sharing the pipe, and my closed-eyed visuals started to come in, and it looked like I was standing on the water looking back at a beach. And there was, if anyone knows what the Dover Cliffs are, out in Europe, I'm not sure where in Europe, but kind of looked like that. Big cliffs out along the beach. And I look off to the right, and there's a woman standing up on this cliff with a white, long, flowy dress, and it's kind of blowing in the wind. And I remember thinking to myself, there's the beach, I'm on the water, where am I? And I looked to my left, I think, and this pelican flies down and lands next to me, and its beak opens up all the way back, you know, like complete 180, and I go into it, like it swallows me, and I go into this black space, and then the next thing I'm seeing is what looks to be, I guess, what you'd call an interrogation room. It kind of looked like you're in a cell.
Oh my god, I remember this.
You're in a
homie.
cell, and there was like, it was like as I got there, there was someone leaving, like the door shut as I'm there. And I'm in there kind of looking around, and I'm getting the sense that they want me to do something or say something or act out something. I don't know. But I was being watched or something like that. And I'm just like, what? I'm just here. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what to do. I was just clueless. And yeah,
it was like they were trying to get you to do something.
Yep, it definitely seemed like I was expected to be doing something.
I've felt like that before, and don't get me wrong, Terrence he's made some very good points. How he points out, you know, their urgency. Do it, we're doing. They're, in my experience, and I think in your experience as well, they're not necessarily telling you to do what they're doing, but it's like they expect something of you sometimes, whether it be, you know, just watch what we're doing, pay attention, come with me, you know what I mean, look at this, whatever it is, it's like they want you to do something.
Yeah.
They're excited.
And sometimes you're just clueless to whatever it is that it seems like they want you to be paying attention to.
Was that it for that one?
Yep, that's good on that one.
Okay, so this one, I've actually made a trip report specifically on this before, but I'll just share it again as an example of how far out DMT trips can be. I didn't even try to trip really hard. I packed just a little bit into the pipe. I was listening to Alan Watts, and I just wanted to take a few hits and, you know, chill in a nice little DMT vibe. And I took a few hits, and, you know, I start really feeling it in my body. Just this very mellowing, relaxing feeling. And I shut my eyes, and I see this, like, structure start to form off in the distance. And it looks like a bunch of, like, three-dimensional, like, beams. Like what we think, what is it, a tesseract? Do you know what that thing is? I don't remember what that looks like. But, just this very weird, like, I could see multiple dimensions in the pipe, in the beams. And it was like I said, this big structure, and it was turning. It kept turning multiple times like that, and it was just doing all these weird flipping motions. And this guy, it was like this messy, rushing businessman. You know, he had a loose jacket, and his tie was all messed up looking. And he ran by the right side of my vision and grabbed me before he got too far away from me and threw me past him down, you know, what I'd metaphorically describe as this, like, office hallway. And then I see this, like, doll that looks like that thing, like Coraline, I think it is. That doll, it had, like, buttons for eyes, a big round head and a tiny body. And she was, like, crying. And it scared me, what she looked like. It just looked scary. So, you know, I was, like, trying to make it better for me. I was like, yo, let's dance. Let's dance because, you know, that'll make you happy, and you won't look as scary if you're dancing. So we both start bouncing up and down, jumping. And she starts bouncing up and down so fast that she gets blurry and like shaking like that. And she was happy for a moment when I was dancing with her, but then she started crying again, and really quickly, before I could do anything about it, started crying even worse, and then shriveled up and died. And it was like I killed her. I got this immediate impression that what I did directly killed her. And I was like tripping out about that for a while. And then I, kind of just drifted off into thought. And then I have this thought saying, you're still tripping right now. Pay attention to what's happening. And my eyes were open, so I closed my eyes again. And I still saw that structure off in the distance, flipping. This moving thing. And it was harder to see, but it was still there. And also down low, like I looked down, literally, and there was this glass hallway shaped like an arch like that went back forever. And there was this line of little children running out of it, just running out of it. And everything was beginning to get hard to see at that point. It was like I was squinting to see that. And I was like, fuck, like I missed a really far out experience because I was drifting into thoughts and not paying attention to what I was seeing. And that was the end of the experience. But yeah, another really far out one.
For sure. They're all far out.
Are you on your last one now?
I actually realized I have these two and then the one that I just did today.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'll try and make this one quick. It was, oh my word, yeah. I decided, I don't know why, I guess I wanted to just see if doing DMT while tripping on acid would, I don't know, play any different sort of role. Because I play a lot with acid and I've played a lot with DMT, and I wanted to see if they do anything differently when combined.
Right. That's a fucking... I've never done that.
I was only on 2 tabs, maybe 3. I can't remember exactly, but it was a good dose of acid so that I was, in it. And we put on some music, and I remember the song that was playing, I was kind of waiting for the drop to hit the pipe. And the lyrics in the song, it was almost verbatim describing what I was doing, and describing how I was feeling. It was breathe in, so I did. And then what is happening? I don't know.
Good question.
Walls are in the way, and how do I escape? You can't. So it was like, I told him, just give in, surrender.
Yeah.
And I did, and it was, I closed my eyes, and I finished hitting the pipe, and all of a sudden, off from my left, something that looks like, I guess, an octopus looking thing, sluggish, meaty ball, I don't know, tentacles. It looked weird. It looked very weird.
You said you felt like that was the LSD.
Okay, so that blob comes in, and out of nowhere, kind of gets surrounded in my vision by these like orbs and streamers and lights and different shapes and stuff, and they're darting around. And it was, as it was moving around this little slug alien octopus looking thing, the tentacles, the reason I keep calling it an octopus, it had like these tentacles that would reach out, and as the visuals were moving around it, got close, it would like retract really quick, really quick, like it was a reaction thing, and it would reach back out towards the visuals, and then retract.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
So this song comes on, Could from Elderbrook. It immediately went from those lights and shapes and patterns and stuff, going from dancing around this blob. It was like it flipped and was now focused on whatever I'm the song. It was no longer introduced, or what's the word
Interested?
Yes, interested. It wasn't interested in the slug-looking thing anymore. Right. It was like, what is this song? And immediately, those shapes and lights and stuff in my vision were doing its thing, but to the beat of the song.
Yeah.
And that kind of just slowly faded away, and that was the end of that trip. But I I got this like after I was done tripping, reflecting on it, it felt like that slug thing was the L, acid, and the DMT was all the stuff around it, and they were, you know, interacting with each other.
Right, you were watching them interact with each other.
In some weird visual way. Seeing the two interact with each other, because it did seem like one was very calm and curious, and the other one was just moving fast and just darting around everywhere and getting all up in this thing's face. But yeah, that was the acid and DMT experience.
I remember that. I was there for that. I'm glad I was. So this next one it's actually got some sense of humor to it. It's pretty quick. We were up here and he smoked some, and I decided I wanted to do a little bit too, so I smoked some as well, DMT, and I wasn't really tripping at first, but then I decided to close my eyes to see if I could see anything. And, you know, let's see if I can describe this right. I was pushing through these like grass or these rods or something, or bamboo or something. I was pushing through this stuff to see if I was having visuals. I was like, oh shit, all this grass.
You're trying to get your visuals out of the way.
To see my visuals.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I was like, oh my. I was like, I gotta get all this shit out of the way to see if I'm seeing anything. Dude, that was so fucking
I've never had anything like that.
Weird. A weird way of thinking, I guess. Yeah.
When you're in that state, it's easy to be confused. I mean, you
Yeah,
have no idea what the fuck's going on.
I think they call that delusions,
Right.
where all of a sudden you believe something that's like, but you know, confusion is a better way to put that.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's just confusing on what the hell's going on.
You could call it geeking, tripping out. But, you know, as long as you just witness it, it's just a far out experience available to you. Holy fuck, you know.
Is that one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, was I going insane because I was trying to look past my visuals to see if I was having visuals? You know what I mean?
No, that's
like,
just you tripping out.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It's just a type of scenario that you can find yourself in psychologically while on psychedelics. So yeah, that is it for that one.
Okay. This one was it was kind of, it seemed simple at first. I didn't really have much going on behind the eyes, and I was kind of enjoying what was going on my table, just the weirdness of it going. Yeah. And the song that was playing, this female vocal comes in, and it immediately triggers me into this thought that this is being metabolized very quickly.
Yeah.
Pay attention. And I'm like, alright. So I close my eyes and I'm like, what are we focusing on? And I kind of start to see this square looking, tablet looking thing. I want to say it kind of looked like stone, and it had all these hieroglyphs. I have no clue what they were, but it was
fucking
like
looking at the Rosetta Stone.
blocks in rows with these different designs all over them. And I'm getting this vibe like it's put in my face, and the guy's like, what's it mean? Like,
shit, what are you gonna do about
what do
it?
you got? And I'm looking at it, and I'm going,
What do you want me to do?
I can't read this. What does this mean? And I remember it slowly faded away, and it hit me really hard that the best way I can describe it is I felt like I was this part of this tribe member, this indigenous guy out in the wild, and this alien comes down and visits you, and you get all this stuff shown to you, and then they take off, and you're just left there wondering if you'll ever see it again, and that you can't necessarily go out and just tell someone what you just saw without them thinking that you've gone completely insane. So you keep it to yourself. And that was so, it was like I couldn't go share it with my tribe. I couldn't go tell everyone, holy shit guys, the spacecraft just came down, landed, and showed me whatever that was.
Isn't that fucking far
and
out?
Then takes off. Because they weren't there to experience, I'd probably get locked up, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's just the kind of experiences that you take a second to realize how serious that actually just was.
Right.
And the fact that it reminded me, all right, you know, DMT is being metabolized really quickly right now. Focus. I don't know what made me think that. I don't know why I specifically thought of it like that, but
did you?
That's what I mean. Right. Like, was I the one that actually said, you know, was it warning me or giving me a heads up? Hey, I'm going to be gone soon. Look at what I'm showing you. Yeah, that one struck me for sure.
Was that the last one that you had bulleted?
Yes, but the most recent one today I wanted to share.
Okay.
Too.
Go for it.
Do you have another one?
Yes. You know what? Yes, I have one last one that I'll share. And you know what? It's a pretty strange one because it kind of seems to defy chemistry, pharmacology.
Yep.
Me and my friend Nick, who I've actually featured on my channel a few different times, I decided to let him try DMT. And I can't remember if it was the first or the second time he had tried it. We go out into the woods and I load the pipe up, and I had to help him hit it because, you know, I wanted to make sure that he got a big hit and like held it and wasn't just like getting it in his mouth or something weird like that. So I held it to his mouth and held the lighter there, and I'm seeing it milk right up, like full of vapor. And he's, you know, making a face because he's getting so much smoke, and I'm telling him, keep going. And he gets a lung full, and I say, hold it, you know, hold it as long as you can, and he does. And I take the pipe away and clear it. I take what's left. He blows out this massive, massive cloud of DMT. Bigger than I've honestly seen anybody, really. And I go to give him another hit. And at this time, I'm starting to feel DMT as well because I just cleared the pipe. I'm starting to feel it. And I give him this another massive hit. Clear it again after he's done hitting it. He blows it out. And I'm starting to come up pretty hard. I'm starting to, you know, like fading out. I've called it that feeling before, just fading out, just losing track of the, you know, what's going on around me. And I hear him say to me, I'm not feeling anything, man. I'm not feeling anything, man. And, you know, in that headspace I was in, the headspace that I was in, that's not my problem. You know, I just laid back. I was like, you know, whatever the fuck
problem.
Whatever's going on with you, bro, I'm tripping now. I don't know why you're not. You know, like I said, I saw him blow clouds of
I've never done
smoke.
that. I've taken big hits, I hold it, and 99% of the time I'm blowing out nothing.
I'm not feeling anything. And like I said, all I took was I cleared it. He'd get done and I'd clear the pipe. I did that 3 times. I was gone. I laid back and was having visuals and my body was fucked. I don't remember the visuals, but I was tripping because I completely disconnected from what was going on with him and really anything. And when I came back, he told me he didn't feel a thing. So, if you've heard of something like that, let me know, because he's done it multiple times now. He doesn't feel DMT. DMT doesn't work on my friend. I've never
not felt it. I mean,
right.
It doesn't, like you said, in a chemical level, it just doesn't really.
No, it don't add up. And it makes me think, like...
Maybe it does, and that's the thing. If you guys know something...
Right. There could be something that I don't know about, that we don't know about, that's going on a...
biological level?
Yes. Something... Whether he's taking medication or what. But, yeah, that was my last one. My last really significant one that I can remember that I have listed. So you can move on to the one that he actually had today.
Yeah,
he actually just
it's
smoked.
Like I can remember it pretty clearly.
I hope so.
I was actually just dogging on Changa too for not being a very visual psychedelic for me. I don't know why. I can do crystal and I see the most crazy visuals I've ever seen in my life, but Changa always seems like it's very subtle visuals. Never really much behind the eye visuals for me, but I always get those vibes of people like we were talking about earlier. This one, on the other hand, though, he brought up enough for probably 5 bong rips, and that's what I ended up taking. And I remember by the 4th one, he had the 5th one packed and ready, and I'm holding the 4th hit in with the 5th one loaded up. And I'm going, oh my word, I'm feeling like this already. I have to take this one too, and that's what you're supposed to do, I guess. So I took it.
Keep going.
And it was such a body load, such a body high, this one. Like, just very intense physical high. And I'm looking around at my table, and nothing much is going on, really. And I close my eyes, and all of a sudden, through the darkness, I see it's a square, but the edges were just a little bit rounded on each corner, if that makes sense. And it had the 4 corners on the edges with, I want to say, like a lattice pattern going on outside of it. And it's moving towards me, and as it came into focus, it was like this really brownish color, just different than the black behind my eyes, you know. And then it started getting brighter and brighter and turning into a red. And I'm like, okay, wow, now I'm really seeing the tunnel now. Like, it's actually right there.
Clear.
Yep, very, very vivid. Wasn't really doing any crazy moving or nothing. It was just a static. It was kind of moving at me, and that's always been something that I've noticed, is it seems like you're slowly moving through the tunnel. I do anyway. I know a lot of people say you just go right through. Never done that.
Fucking Millennium
Never
Falcon
done that.
speed.
It's always been this really peaceful, nice, slow creep towards you. And this one was interesting though, because it normally just goes past you and then you have other stuff going on. This, it seemed like it was bending, like it was turning through the hallway.
Yeah,
and
that's weird.
I don't know if in this chair I was actually trying to look and see around that bend, but in my mind I was leaning, trying to get around that corner to see it. And all of a sudden, from the low left going up across were like these long teardrops, like 2 or 3 of them, really bright looking, and they just go by. And I had forgotten to mention, while I'm hitting the 5th bong rip, I looked down and my left arm holding the bong was zebra pattern, like black and white stripes on my arm. And after I saw, oh, that's right, okay, started to feel, after I'd seen those teardrop things going by, I opened my eyes and still didn't really have much open eye visuals, but as soon as I closed my eyes again, like he was talking about earlier, I was huge. I felt like I was as big as like and I say this because it reminded me of the Egyptian Sphinx, like the size you would be next to the Egyptian Sphinx statue. That's how big I felt like I was. And it was weird because I swore if I opened my eyes and looked down, he was going to be like this little tiny thing down below me. And that's blowing my mind. And I remember I moved my shoulders or something like that. And I noticed that it felt like I had this blanket. Like I was being encapsulated by this heavy, warm blanket. And like I just bowed my head down and just fell into it. Like it was a very good experience. And it was right after I was saying Changa is not really visual for me. But here we are seeing, tunnels and lights streaming by. And I'm bigger than... Yeah, it was a good experience.
No, Changa's very, very interesting. So is the crystal, but like what put it in his mind that the concept of the Egyptian Sphinx.
Yeah,
where did that come from? Bringing it back to the intrusiveness of the thoughts and feelings you can have while on psychedelics. That's them showing you the experience, the intrusive things that are coming in, the random thoughts going. Just go with it. Just go with it, And don't identify it as you thinking about it, you know what I mean? And it takes you on this fucking
It's
journey.
Almost more fun to think that it's someone else doing the thinking for you.
Right.
You're getting fed these thoughts that aren't coming from you. Who's it coming from then? It's fun to share these experiences because you're going to take them however you want, but we're just kind of putting them on the table and you get to hear what we interpret these trips as. And I guess that's why I'm glad he had me on the video.
I have no other way to describe my trips on DMT besides what I've just shared with you, really. I mean, I could make a 20-30 minute long video on every single one of these
Literally.
that I just showed you, talking about what it was like. And I want to mention there's a dimension of DMT, and I think you can agree with this, that we haven't touched on at all. And it's a visual dimension, it's a physical and psychological, understanding, intellectualness that I just cannot touch on. I can't talk about it. I can't tell you about that part of DMT in the way I've told you about that. All this stuff. That's all just memories of my trips.
And the best words to describe them.
Yes, exactly. I plucked out the best words to explain the images in my head, But when you're there is something going on that you can't... It's not words. Terrence McKenna put it really well when he said, it's like water. Just water going over a duck's back. It just beads up and falls right off. You can't explain what it is. But thank you for making that video with me, homie. For real.
For sure.
I hope this serves as a good example of, like I said in the beginning, not only DMT isn't what you hear it to be, but it's not going to be the same thing every time either, I was kind of weirded out at first when DMT didn't do exactly what people said it was going to do. But I got used to it quickly, and it became a very personalized thing. It takes you on your own trips. You know what I mean? And I guess that's the moral or point of this is these trips can be so different and so abstract. It's not just this tunnel, It can take much more forms. I've every now and then had the tunnel experience.
Same. As crazy as some of these stories may sound or seem, it's going to be even crazier when you're the one experiencing it yourself.
And when those
your own way.
Yeah, and those images are in your head, going through your mind, and you're seeing them. And that ineffable thing that we can't even talk about right now is right there.
And I hope that if you did watch this video and you haven't tried it, and someday that you do try it and you do remember some of these stories that we've mentioned, you're like, oh my word, these guys weren't crazy. We're like actually seeing this far out shit.
I'm just touching base on my memory, man. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
So again, thank you, homie. And if you've watched this whole thing, or even if you just, touched around through it, thank you so much for watching. This is my brother. He'll probably be back with more. So thank you. Oh, dang it. Got the low power showed up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. I will be back with more.
See ya.
Peace.